Every morning, without fail, Jennifer Kesse called or texted her boyfriend before work. It was a small ritual, the kind of habit couples build without even noticing. On the morning of January 24th, 2006, that call never came. By the time anyone realized something was wrong, Jennifer Kesse had already disappeared. Her car would resurface a mile from her home. Her phone, her purse, her keys, all gone. And the only real clue investigators would ever recover was a few seconds of blurry surveillance footage showing someone parking her car and walking calmly away. Nearly 2 decades later, no one has been arrested. No body has ever been found. This is the story of a woman who seemed to have everything ahead of her, and the mystery that swallowed her whole. Jennifer Kesse was 24 years old, sharp, ambitious, and by every account from the people who loved her, happy. She had graduated with a finance degree in 2003 and landed a job at Central Florida Investments, the parent company of Westgate Resorts. She was good at it, good enough that she had just been promoted, and good enough that she had saved up to buy something most 24-year-olds only dream about: her own condominium in a gated community called Mosaic at Millenia, complete with a security guard at the gate. And then there was Rob Allen. The two had been dating for about a year. A long-distance relationship stretched across the 3-hour drive between Orlando and Fort Lauderdale. They made it work the way long-distance couples do: weekend visits, late-night phone calls, and countdowns to the next time they would see each other. In mid-January of 2006, they took one of those weekends and turned it into something bigger: a getaway to the island of St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Friends who knew her said something had shifted. She was, in her own quiet way, falling in love. On Sunday, January 22nd, Jennifer flew home. Instead of going back to her own place, she spent the night at Rob's apartment. The next morning, Monday the 23rd, she drove to work like she always did. It was, by every account, an unremarkable day. At 6 that evening, she left the office and called her father on the drive home. Routine, normal, nothing that would suggest anything was wrong. That night, for the first time since before her trip, Jennifer went back to her own condo at Mosaic at Millenia. At 10 o'clock, she spoke to Rob on the phone one last time. No one would hear from her again. Tuesday, January 24th. Somewhere in the space between waking up and walking out her front door, Jennifer Kesse disappeared. When she failed to show up for work and didn't answer her phone, her coworkers grew concerned enough to call her parents. Drew and Joyce Kesse drove straight to the condo. What they found was almost more unsettling than an empty apartment would have been, because nothing looked wrong at all. The front door was locked. Makeup sat out on the bathroom counter. The shower still held moisture in its corners, as if she had used it recently. The t-shirt she had slept in was tossed on the floor, the way it would be on any ordinary morning. Her coffee maker had run its cycle. Her bed looked slept in. Everything about the scene inside that condo pointed to one thing: a normal Tuesday morning in the life of a 24-year-old woman with a job she was good at, a relationship she was happy in, and absolutely no reason in the world not to walk back through that door at the end of the day. It looked, investigators would later say, exactly like a woman who had gotten ready for work, showered, dressed, gathered her things, and locked the door behind her. What was missing told the real story: her cell phones, her keys, her purse, her driver's license, her iPod, and her car, a black 2004 Chevrolet Malibu, was nowhere to be found. Jennifer Kesse had walked out of her life and left everything in it behind, except for the things a person absolutely needs if they are planning to go somewhere and not come back. The lead detective on the case later described his theory plainly. He believed Jennifer had gotten ready for work, walked outside, and locked her door behind her, making it as far as her car before something went terribly wrong. After that, he believed she was abducted. 2 days later, that theory gained chilling weight. Jennifer's Malibu turned up about a mile from her condo, parked at an apartment complex she had no connection to. No one who lived there recognized her name. No one had seen her. A security camera nearby had captured the moment it arrived. Just after noon, the footage showed someone pulling Jennifer's car into the lot. The figure sat inside for about 30 seconds, then got out and walked away without any apparent urgency, without looking around, without doing anything that would draw attention. The camera captured a new frame only every 3 seconds, and a fence partially blocked the view. The image was never clear enough to identify a face, a build, or even, with certainty, a gender. Investigators enhanced it. Analysts studied it. It was shared publicly, shown on national news, examined by experts and amateur sleuths alike for years. Nothing conclusive ever emerged. It remains the single most studied and most frustrating piece of evidence in the entire case. Investigators later found signs in the vehicle and in photographs of the scene that suggested a struggle had taken place. Whatever happened to Jennifer Kesse, it seemed to have happened fast, and it seemed to have happened in broad daylight, in a quiet residential neighborhood, without a single witness coming forward. In the weeks that followed, investigators chased down everything they could. One theory centered on the ongoing renovation work happening throughout Jennifer's complex. The construction crew working the site was made up of workers from multiple countries, many of whom were later found to be in the United States illegally. Several women who lived in the complex, Jennifer reportedly among them, had described feeling uneasy around some of the crew. One worker, known by the nickname Chino, had done repair work inside Jennifer's own unit just days before she vanished. A tip and a witness both suggested he resembled the figure in the surveillance video. Years later, when he was located in jail on an unrelated charge, he agreed to a polygraph test. He passed it. He told investigators he had no idea what happened to her. A private investigator working for the Kesse family later learned that, roughly 10 months after Jennifer disappeared, someone had been seen dumping a rolled-up section of carpet into a nearby lake. On the same day, carpet installers happened to be working in the unit across the hall from Jennifer's own. It was the kind of detail that could mean everything, or nothing at all. It was never conclusively tied to the case. In 2007, Jennifer's employer offered a $1 million reward for information leading to her safe return, with a deadline attached and a single condition: that she had to be found alive. The deadline passed. The reward went unclaimed. The case moved from the Orlando Police Department to the FBI in 2010. Frustrated by what they felt was a mishandled investigation, Jennifer's parents eventually sued the Orlando Police Department for access to the case files, spending, by their own account, more than $80,000 in the process. In 2019, they won. More than 16,000 pages of documents and dozens of hours of audio and video finally landed in their hands, and the case was formally handed to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Drew and Joyce Kesse had spent 13 years fighting just to see the paperwork on their own daughter's disappearance. 13 years just to get to the starting line of understanding what had actually been done and what had not. Jennifer's mother has said, simply, that the hole in their hearts will be there forever until they have an answer. In 2016, 10 years after she vanished, the state of Florida legally declared Jennifer Kesse dead. Her father has called it one of the hardest decisions of his life. But being declared dead is not the same as being answered for. It closed no door. It solved nothing. Nearly 2 decades later, Jennifer Kesse's parents are still looking. In late 2025, they announced something that hadn't happened in years: real movement in the case. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement confirmed it had found untested DNA evidence, material that contradicted earlier, claims that DNA in the case existed only on the steering wheel of Jennifer's car. Investigators also told the family they had narrowed their list of persons of interest down to a select few, and that for the first time in a long time, they believed there was a real chance at finding answers. Whatever happened in the seconds between Jennifer Kesse locking her front door and someone else driving her car away, the truth has stayed buried for 19 years. Somewhere, someone knows what happened to her. And somewhere, a family is still waiting by the phone, the way they have every single day since January 24th, 2006, for the call that finally tells them the truth. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse, please contact the Florida Department of Law Enforcement or visit the Find Jennifer Kesse Facebook page.